It was mid-October. My parents had traveled for an emergency. They were going to be gone all weekend, and I was old enough to be left home alone. I decided to invite Maggie, my girlfriend of 2 years, over. She came on Friday night, a few hours after my parents left, and we started having fun. We did almost everything you can think of, from watching TV and playing games to smoking weed and making brownies. It took a full day for us to get bored, and by Saturday evening we were already out of ideas. We'd always wanted to go camping, and it seemed like a fun thing to do that evening. We couldn't go far, though, so we set up a tent and a small fire at the back of the house. Our backyard was quite big. By 8 p.m., we were done with our setup and already tucked away inside the tent. I don't know why, but for some reason I just didn't remember to lock any of the house doors. Everything was cool until around 11 p.m., when the wind intensified. When this happened, we simply tucked ourselves under our blankets and tried to sleep. But about an hour later we started hearing crunching sounds like someone was walking either towards or around us. "Who's there?" I screamed. Our gate was locked and the fence was quite high, so it wouldn't have been possible for someone to jump in without us hearing a sound. The sound intensified, and this time it was obvious that 2 people were walking around us. My girlfriend told me to check. I shushed her, telling her to give it a minute. I was pretending to be bold, but I was probably more scared than she was. We noticed that the sound of the footsteps left our tent, and it seemed like these people, whoever they were walking towards our house now. I remembered that all the doors were left unlocked and my heart skipped a few beats. This was when we heard the back door open and then close. I remember that I was holding a cell phone, so I called the cops immediately. 2 officers arrived in 15 minutes, and I let them in through the back gate. They tried to get into the house, but the front and back doors were both locked. I assured them that I wasn't the one who locked any of them. They broke into our house, one through each door, but couldn't find anything or anyone. Nothing was missing either, and if the doors hadn't been locked from the inside, I'm sure they'd have thought that we were playing a prank on them. We locked the doors from the outside and I stayed in my girlfriend's house for the rest of the weekend. I don't know if real people broke into the house and found a way to sneak out while the police were doing their search, but the whole experience completely spoiled the idea of camping for me. Halloween was over and I was elated. I always felt this way after Halloween because the end of Halloween meant the beginning of my birth week. A few days before my birthday, I went to a recently opened gift shop located at the end of town. People said that it had almost everything you would want to buy and was very affordable. We were kind of struggling in our family. It'd been that way since my dad disappeared with another woman, maximizing. The few bucks my mom gave me was the plan, and this store was the answer. I bought all the gifts, games and decorations that we need to celebrate our small house birthday party. During checkout, I met a fat, short old guy who seemed to be the janitor there. A conversation ensued between us and I ended up telling him everything that took place between my mom and dad, our financial state, and my birthday. I told him my name and we exchanged phone numbers. He seemed like a nice dude. Fast forward to a few days later. It was my birthday and we were celebrating it the way we always did. The doorbell rang and I opened it to see the janitor from the store. He was holding a gift for me, wrapped and all. I didn't tell this man my house address, nor did I invite him over for my birthday. But here he was on our front porch, gift in hand, smiling. I took the gift, thanked him and tried to close the door. But he stopped me, kind of brushed me aside and let himself in. My heart was racing. He greeted my mother and tried to hug my little brother, but he refused. This dude sat on our sofa and asked, "What did I miss?" I heard my mom's voice behind me asking me who he was, but I already dialed 911 and was walking into my room to tell them what was happening. I thought this man would follow me or try something funny, but he didn't. He just kept laughing and talking. I stepped out when I was done, and this man had told my mom that we were friends and I invited him over for my birthday. I was too scared to even speak, so I just waited quietly for the cops and they arrived in less than 10 minutes. The officers escorted him out and told me to be careful what I told strangers, but I never gave him my house address. The next day we called his place of work to complain, and they said he'd been fired a few days ago because customers complained that he kept stalking them. I wonder about that man sometimes. He didn't come to hurt any of us. He genuinely invited himself to our family party and gave me a pretty nice notebook as a gift too. So weird. A week before Halloween last year, I went to a carnival with a few of my friends. We all had different interests, so once we got there, we kind of scattered around the place. I was left with my girlfriend Susie and her best friend Linda. But a few minutes later, they decided that they wanted to get some cotton candy, and I was left waiting for them behind the line. The line was quite long, so after standing for around 10 minutes, I decided to find something entertaining to do. While waiting, I looked around and spotted a fortune teller stand by my right. At the top of the stand, there was an inscription saying $5 for 5 minutes. I thought $5 for 5 minutes of fortune telling seemed like a pretty good deal, so I shifted her beaded curtain, scooted down a little bit, and entered her tiny stand. I expected the consultation to last 10 minutes tops so I could meet Susie and Linda before they started searching for me. Immediately I got in, she called out my name, pointing towards the chair opposite her. I wasn't freaked out by this because I believe that fortune tellers were at least psychic, and most psychics have access to information that we normal people don't. I walked towards the chair and tried to sit down, but she stopped me, saying that it was an extra $5 to sit. I thought about how uncomfortable it would be to stand or kneel while having my fortune read, and I decided to give it to her. That was $10 total. She asked me what I wanted to know, and before I could answer, she said, "Something about that sweet girlfriend of yours, eh?" I nodded and she smiled. Well, the $5 standard price is only if you want to know something about yourself and your future. Once someone else is involved, it costs more, she said. But this is about myself and my future. I replied. I want to know if Susie and I will get married. Hey, don't judge me. I was young and love-struck. She insisted that it cost an extra $10 if I wanted to involve someone else. I had no choice but to give her the money I really wanted to know. $20 paid, and I still hadn't gotten anything from her. She held my hand and started reading, said she was seeing something. Her eyes shot towards her skull, and she kept saying, "Yes, yes, it's good, it's good." I asked her what it was really curious. Suddenly her eyes shot at me with so much power that it made my own eyes widen in expectation. But all she said was, "Your 5 minutes are up. To continue, pay $20 for 10 more minutes." What? I still stupidly gave her another $20, and she continued with her shenanigans for 10 more minutes, telling me things I already knew about my relationship instead of telling me what I wanted to know. Then 10 minutes passed quickly, and this woman had the nerve to ask me to give her another $20 for 10 more minutes. At this point, I realized that I was simply being played. So I got up and started leaving. She warned me that I had to complete what I'd begun if I didn't want bad things to happen to me. I ran the risk of losing my girlfriend in 6 months if I left the consultation incomplete. I decided to give her another chance. I asked her how long it would take to get my answers, but she simply said that the universe gives out its information whenever it's ready. No one could really control it. Yeah, sure. Thief, I thought as I walked out her tiny stand 6 months later. My girlfriend broke up with me without any warning. It took me a while to get over the pain, but when I finally did, I confronted her about her decision. She told me that she'd been having nightmares about us since we left the carnival, and she was too scared to continue with the relationship. Funny enough, the nightmares stopped immediately when she ended it. I hate fortune tellers now.